to the Driver's Seat Podcast, guys. We got a pretty special episode. We got a guest, Michael McElroy, here with us, and he's going to show us how to put together a 4 to 9-inch third member. Michael, thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Glad we finally got to sit down and do it.
Yeah, it's been a little hectic the last couple weeks. That's where you guys can thank Michael for me not putting out a new episode the last 2 weeks.
We've been trying to get this put together for a while now, but I recently started my own business, so it's kind of, you're on call 24/7, and
Yes, sir.
you just never know when times are going to line up. But
Understand that 100%.
we got her done this weekend, though.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what we got here, I mean, Dallas got a set of gears. He bought this third member off a guy, and it's a good third member, good base to start with, had a full spool in it, but he just wanted to change the gears in it, so that's what we're going to do this episode. We kind of got a head start on everything. We got everything cleaned up, got our bearing pressed on the pinion already, got bearings on our spool, got everything cleaned up, our housing. One thing to note, I don't know if a lot of guys have put big gears in these housings, but sometimes you need a ground off right here in your housing or your gear's gonna hit. This one's already been ground down and allowing for bigger gears, so we should be good to go there.
Looks like I got a good set then.
Yeah, you did. It's a good set to start with. So
Well,
other than that, we got our seal in and our bearing here, of course. So we got our new races put in.
we went ahead and did this so we weren't banging around and having loud noises in the background here, so.
Right. But I guess we're good to go with some assembly now.
All right.
A little assembly lib on this.
Now, when you said a spool, what does that do? Because this is a spool right here.
Yep, that's what's considered a full spool.
All right.
It's just it's a one piece. It just locks your axles together. It's all it's doing. Your axles come in here and then there, and they're locked together.
And then this right here is the ring gear, correct?
Correct.
So
On a limited slip, what I'd say 80-90% of vehicles out there have a limited slip rear end, and it's got a set of spider gears. Instead of a solid center section here, you have spider gears.
Okay.
And it allows going around corners, one tire to spin faster than the other.
Yeah.
It just don't lock your axles. In the derby world, that's
You
no
don't want
good.
that,
We
yeah.
want both spinning all the time. And so a lot of guys, back when we first started, we were welding spider gears together.
That's exactly what I did this last year too. So.
Yep, that's what we would do. We would just take the cover off, clean everything real good. Thing about welding spider gears, if you've never done that and that's something you want to do, do it slowly.
Yeah, you don't want to get those too hot, right?
You know, you don't want to put heat in those. They have a tendency to crack and shatter on you whenever you're in the arena, and so definitely take your time doing that. But a little step up from that, if you wanted to do something a little different than welding gears, they offer a mini spool,
Which is only like $30 off Speedway.
Yeah, and it's the next step up rather than welding, and it just goes in place of your spider gears. You just actually take your spider gears out
And then put the mini spool
put
in.
it right in, and it's a
I feel like
step
we're on
up.
one of those cooking shows. We're like Tim the Toolman Taylor in here.
Tool time. So we got that on there. Now we're gonna set this on. Of course, we'll have to tighten it down to.
And then that's actually the
Bearings.
pinion, correct? That
Yep,
you're putting
yep.
that on there?
This is your pinion and pinion assembly, and I guess we should not forget to mention we got a crush sleeve in here. And this is how you set your preload on these. You got two bearings facing opposite directions, and when we put this on, we'll tighten it down. And whenever we torque these together, you have to check your preload, and that's how we'll essentially set it. And I got a little inch-pound torque wrench here. That's what you need to kind of.
I've never seen that in my entire life. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, they're handy for jobs like this. Okay, let me see where we are yoked here.
So you were talking about when you first started, y'all weld the spider gears. When did you first start derbying, Michael?
I think my first derby was in the year 2000.
Not that long ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. I grew up around it. You know, my best friend growing up, Marcus and I was always around his dad, and
Yeah.
man, they built cars ever since I can remember, and we always were involved with that, mainly stripping them, you know, and painting and doing stuff like that. But
Yeah.
always been around it, and so always watched it. And whenever we were in high school, old enough to run, got my first car. It was an old Kingswood Chevy wagon. It'd been run countless.
Pre-ran car,
yeah,
man. That's the way to go for your first one.
Yeah, so it was a fun one. Of course, things have changed a lot since back then. But
Yeah, compared to this blue one back over here.
yeah. Yep, but it was always a good time, a lot of learning, and as a kid growing up doing it and always wanting to do it. And
Did you prepare for this interview at all? Because that's like the first 6 questions I ask everybody when we start.
no, we talked about that. We're doing this off the fly today. We're just kind of doing something different, but
Yeah.
it's gonna get a little loud here. As you can see, we got a long way to go. You can feel the slack in there. That's what we're essentially going to be taking out.
So you don't want the slack.
Nope. I'm going to set the preload to the right.
So you said your first car was a what?
Kingswood wagon.
Kingswood wagon.
It was a 70 roundback wagon.
So it's made by Buick?
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet, okay. Well, when you say roundback, I think of Buicks, you know?
Yep, no, it is a Chevy wagon. Didn't know much about what I was doing back then. Like I said, it was a pre-run. And I got that one, you know, Ronnie Akridge. It was one of his old cars. He was my neighbor growing up. And I've got that one from him, actually. Had a blowed up motor in it. And I spent it, first 2 years, I think I was gonna run it. Day before the Derby, motor blew up. You know, I bought the car and I was like, yeah, I wanna run. And
That's tough.
had a bad motor, and in high school, when you're that age, you know, coming up with the phone to get a motor going. And
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, so it was one of them top deals, but
I kind of know where you're coming from. When I was gonna first run the Cordoba that I got, me and Austin had gone out and we were gonna stab the engine in the night before with the transmission on, which, yeah, that's not the way to do things, you know, you don't want to wait till last minute, but
that's the way it always happens.
we were going in with it and we thought we were gonna be doing good, and it ran everything, and I go to put it in gear and stuff, and I look down, the fucking freaking bell housing is broke.
Yep.
It busted when we were trying to go in with it, and that's tough.
That's hard. I'll tell you a story in just a second. Let me tighten this down about heartache like that. Once you start getting, see, it's just got a little bit of slack. I'm watching it suck in.
Yeah.
Then you'll kind of want to ease off on your impact, but we still got some slack here. Okay, we're starting to get the slack out. And now on these, you're gonna want, on used bearings, about 7 inch-pounds of breakaway torque.
Okay.
But this, since we're running new bearings, it's about 10 to 15 pounds, because they'll seat in, you know.
Always buy new bearings. Michael made sure I bought new bearings.
Cheap insurance. It's cheap insurance. There it is.
Just don't buy the Daytona set off of Speedway, because those are wrong. Figured that out the hard way today.
And you can see where the breakaway torque is how much it takes for this thing to start moving. See, we're moving, and it's not even hardly moving my torque.
Yeah.
We want it to get to 10, so we're gonna go a little bit tighter with it.
Alrighty. It's a lot of work that goes into this thing. I thought we were just gonna come in here, bolt these things in, and slap it all together.
And you could, and probably make it work in a Derby. Me, I'm a stickler for stuff like this. Kind of what I do, you know, build these. Back to the story we were talking about, I built a transmission for that one and for Tiny's car last year, and I built my own motors and everything. We built that transmission last year and put it in, and setting up our shifter, we didn't realize it was guess you kind of forget, you know, you put it in, get everything going, and you're pretty nervous whenever you're starting stuff.
Yeah.
It's got a reverse valve body in it.
Okay.
So whenever you put it in first gear, like a normal shifter,
Yeah.
you're actually in third, because it's
Okay.
a reverse, like a drag racer.
Yeah.
And so, man, I'd put that thing in first, I was thinking, and give it gas, and it would go, but you know, it just wouldn't.
Yeah, it would go, but it wouldn't go.
You knew it wasn't there. And put it in reverse, and I mean, it'd bite and go hard. And it would. So the whole time you're thinking in the back of your mind, well, you know, what did I do? I air checked everything. Why is this not working? And funny story, I parked the thing in here, and I was done. I'm gonna run it next year, you know. It was a couple days before the Derby. My father-in-law, he said, don't that thing have, you know, a reverse valve body in that, you know? Like, I don't know why I didn't think about that, you know. I knew it did. I knew it was all TCI set up.
Yeah.
So sure enough, I hopped back in the car and just clicked it once into what would be drive on a normal car.
Yeah.
And that thing get bit and took off. So
Heck
went
yeah.
from zero to hero, you know, like, man, I'm running, I'm tired of this car, to, all right, we're back in the game.
There you go, man. That's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And it's weird that you didn't catch it though, especially, you know, you have all this experience building your own stuff, and then you also ran dirt track as well too.
Right, yep. Yeah, it's just one of them things, whenever there's 1,000 things going through your mind at once.
Especially that close to the show.
Yeah, and so it's easy to let stuff like that slip, but yeah, we did a little dirt tracking. I lived in Lubbock for about 6 or 7 years, and down in Lubbock, they really don't have a derby scene. Of course, I grew up around the derby scene here.
Yeah.
And moved off, they didn't have anything, so I'm just a gearhead. Anything motorsports I'm going to get into, anything with horsepower. So we got into dirt tracking down there, and that was a ton of fun.
You're still not getting much out of it.
No, we're still about 5 or 6. But this is, you kind of want to go slow in steps right here because it's got that crush sleeve that I showed you.
Yeah.
And so if you crush it too much, there's really no going back.
I got you.
I mean, you can, like I said, this is a derby setup. It's not going to be detrimental. It's not going down the highway. You're not going to put 100,000 miles on it, but still, I want it to be right, you know what I mean, when I build stuff. So that's kind of what we're going
When it's
with.
built right, it lasts, you know?
That's right. So that's why we're just little steps at a time. You could just slap this together and that thing would probably, it'd run, you know, as long as you need it to do in derby, but
Yeah.
see, we got just a little tight there, that's all it was. We're about 18 breakaway there. I'm just gonna bump it back one time.
This is my first time having anything built, you know? I normally, like I was saying, I just get underneath there and weld the spider gears together and call it good. So I'm pretty pumped to have a built rear end this year.
It really makes a difference. I mean, I was the same way until I moved back from Lubbock. Derby world had changed so much.
Yeah.
When I derbied here and left, I mean, it was almost chain and bang rules. The Perryton JCs ran it here, and there wasn't a whole lot.
That was when you left, right?
Right. There wasn't a whole lot you could do. And then when I moved back and kind of see how much the sport has evolved, I would always come back and watch. Every year I come back and watch the celebration, you know. Just love that, but I was never involved in it. And after coming back and building a car and kind of seeing how much goes into it, man, there we go, we're at about 10 or 12 right there.
Boom shakalaka.
I like it. And coming back and just seeing how much everything has evolved and changed, and just got really interested in it again, you know, and helped a buddy out one year. He needed a partner to run, and so I volunteered to run with them. They built the car, actually. They built everything. They said we just need a driver, so I showed up and ran. And
Where'd you run at?
here in Perryton.
Okay.
And it was with Brandon Eisman and a couple of those guys. They had old Suey Lincoln.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and so they needed some numbers, pretty much just a kill guy to get out there and, I mean, because the car wasn't much, so showed up, helped them out. Like I said, they built the car, they did everything. We got in it and went and had a ball with it, and then it's back in your blood. So next year I said I'm gonna build my own car, and that's what we did.
Man, being out of it, that's got to be tough.
It is tough. You really miss it.
Especially like you said, coming back and watching your buddies and stuff running, and that would suck.
Yeah, and it's tough to get back into, especially this day and age, with everything evolved as it has. You know, you got to buy your setups, your cradles, your everything if you're gonna run the pro mods. But I mean, it's around here anyway. You can't just really jump in and go. Even our light weld class. You know, you got to spend money.
And that's what we're doing here.
Right. And so it's.
That's why I've been telling you and a few other guys, you know, I'm trying my damnedest to get a freaking show up there in Kansas, a little bit closer here to town. And I wanted to have our mods and our limited cars, you know, the big and smaller class, so that these guys down here could have a place to run, and people up there could have a place closer home to run. But also I thought about maybe throwing in 2 extra heats, one for like a chain and bang and then maybe a pickup clash, you know, because people love to watch the pickups.
Yeah.
And then a chain and bang could help get more people in to drive, you know, because they're, well, I don't have to spend all this money on my car.
Right.
You know, it's just, I got to take the interior out, basically chain the door shut and go.
Yeah, just get, and that's how we started, and that was my whole idea of Derby until I moved back, and I was like, wow, you know, they're putting just as much, if not more, into these Derby cars now as I was into my dirt track cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's just around here, man. You get up to the Blizzard Bash and they're putting buku money into that stuff.
Oh man, yeah, it's exciting to go up there and watch. I know you haven't been yet, but if you get a chance this year, you gotta go.
Oh, I'll be there this year for
there's
sure.
nothing like it up there. Them boys, they're years ahead of us. You know,
Yeah.
we'll go up there and kind of get ideas of what they're doing and bring it back home with us. And by the time we go back up there next year, that's old to them. They're already moved on to the next.
Yeah, when I went up to Iowa, which I'll actually be back there this weekend, or this upcoming weekend, but when I went up there last year, I was talking to some of those guys. I know, y'all know Chad Markley? You know, without even thinking, Chad runs Blizzard Bash with a team every year, and all those guys.
Kansas.
Yes, sir. And all those guys on the Crazy Iowans. Oh yeah, we know Chad. And I was like, well, he's the promoter for our derby, and they're like, yeah, we've seen the CDDA rules, and they're kind of stock compared to what we're used to.
But that's good for us. That's been the best thing for our area, having a set of rules like he brings, and not only the rules that he brings, but the experience, the non-biased judging. I mean, he's everybody's friend, but when it comes to the inspection line,
Yeah.
I mean, he's not, you know what I mean? He's a promoter at that point. He puts a different hat on, and
it's always that goofy straw hat.
hey, I wear one of those too.
That's what's weird about you.
Yeah. Fair skinned. I got living down here in Texas. I don't know how that happened, but I go from 2 shades. It's either white or red.
Hey, I'm the same
I
way.
don't tan, so I got to cover that face.
But yeah, I think Chad's a good promoter, and that's honestly who I want to get for the promoter up there where I'm living at now in Kansas. I think that would be pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, I think he's the best thing that happened to this area.
Yeah.
Now, normally, whenever you're putting these together right here, we wouldn't use that seal in there, and
The shims right there.
there's a rubber O-ring in there.
Okay.
And we leave that out because you got a shim pack here.
Yeah.
And you want to set your pinion depth. And so when we put it together, we'll put the ring gear in there, and then we'll paint it and see where the gear's tracking. And you know, you can move it in and out. But the set that we got didn't have any more shims, so we're gonna just start with what we got. And
That's that Daytona set. They didn't send any shims. They sent the wrong bearings.
so we're gonna go with that. What we got?
Speedway, we're coming for you, man.
I've always had really good luck with Speedway parts. Especially around here in the middle of nowhere, and you can get them in 2 or 3 days. That's pretty good, but
Yeah. They didn't even send a sticker though. What the heck, man?
I got you a sticker, bud.
Rock Auto did the same thing. I ordered some parts off of Rock Auto and they didn't send a little magnet. I was so mad.
Gypped you.
Yeah, I know. You know, I expect to buy a $300 magnet and get the free part with it.
I hear you. That's always exciting. Putting stickers on your gas tanks or fridges or.
Yeah, exactly. Your toolboxes.
That's right.
So when did you, how old were you when you got to run your first car?
16. Year 2000. Maybe 17, because the first year didn't pan out, like I said. I wish I had more pictures and more stuff from back then, but of course we didn't have camera phones and access like we do now. And my memory is just not as good as some. My buddy Tiny, he can remember his 2nd grade teacher and what he wore on the first day of school, and he can remember everything. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't remember stuff like that. But
So how does it make you feel that while you were getting your car ready for the Derby, I was barely being born down at the hospital?
old. No, I love the sport. I love where it's evolved to. Some people, they don't like it as much as where it is now.
Yeah.
Because the money you do have to kind of spend in it to stay competitive and the things you got to do. But
Well, that's why I think it's a good thing to have the chain and bang classes and stuff, so people in the areas can see that they don't have to spend that money, but they can still run. And then as
Right.
time goes on, they're like, well, maybe I can spend some money to get into this limited class or get into the mod class or whatever, you know?
Yep, I'm a huge supporter of that too, having the chain and bang and getting people involved in it. Some people are pretty standoffish and don't want to have people in their circle, or they're, you know, come around while they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just doing nothing but hurting the sport and hurting the area of it, you know.
Yeah.
I think here in Perryton, we're fortunate enough to, this is the only really town around this area that's had an ongoing derby like it has
Exactly.
for years, you know what I mean? It's just lasted. And so to keep that, to preserve that, we need to help future generations and
Like me.
exactly, you know, and the chain and bang kind of does that, you know. It gets them in, gets them where they can get their feet wet and see if it's something that they want to do and
Exactly.
pursue. And like Tiny's been doing around here, and Roland has too recently, building raffle cars and letting people have a chance to win it, you know. Somebody that
Yeah, that would never even be in one of these shops. They can go buy a raffle ticket and
have a chance to get in one and see what it's like.
exactly. And
Unless you're Heath Dorman, you're not allowed to buy any more tickets.
yeah, Heath.
I mean, that's
Somehow Heath keeps winning Tiny's raffle cars. We know what that's about.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Or am I?
his mother-in-law actually, his mother-in-law and his aunt, it would be, bought a lot of tickets for him. He didn't buy any last year.
Yeah, Tiny was telling
He
me
didn't
that
buy
he wasn't
any.
even at the show when they drew his name.
Yeah.
He had gone to a wedding or something.
And so that's kind of how that panned out. And
I remember Tiny was actually kind of heated when Heath had won it, because he was driving it back and I was standing at the gate and I said, Tiny, who won the raffle car? And he goes, freaking Heath won it. His face is all beat red, you know, and I was like,
yeah, people, especially in small towns, they're like, I don't know about that. But
exactly.
I mean, it was a fair deal. It was drawn by somebody else, you know. Tiny didn't even draw it. But
Yeah,
he said he didn't want to read the name. That's for sure when they handed it to him.
Yeah, I was asking, he goes, I wasn't even near the bucket. I was standing 10 feet away.
Yeah, that's one of them deals. You can't please everybody.
So once this goes in, we're not having to take it back out, are we?
Nope, you'll have to take it back out probably a couple different times. Normally we would if we were shimming our pinion depth.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't have to, because like I said, we don't have any more shims. We got what we got.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
Yep, but we,
Have to throw in like a piece of cardboard or something.
the good thing about a 9-inch, this is the only shimming you have to do. That's why a lot of racers, that's why a lot of guys prefer a 9-inch. You can take the whole third member out and work on it on your bench like this.
Yeah.
And also, right here, there's no shimming. It's all just a spanner nut adjustment. So it's pretty simple setup.
So on your setup here, you have what's powering your Cadillac back here?
As far as drivetrain,
Yeah.
I built it's just a 355, little 355 in there. Turbo 400 transmission that I built, and then I got a 14 bolt in the back.
So you're not running a 9-inch.
Nope, I always ran a 9-inch. Last year I actually spent some money. It's a fully built. It's got everything postal on it, from their trusses to their brace to their axles or their hub savers on that. They're not axle savers, they're hub
Subtle
savers.
shout out to Postal Mopar.
Right, great products. Not only great products, customer service. I mean, if I called Scott or anything and needed anything, I mean, he walked me right through it. And
Yeah.
So it's a built 14 bolt back there. It's a
And
everything postal on it. It's not a true postal though, but
who makes the 14 bolt? Because 9-inch is made by Ford.
GM.
Okay, so you're running a full GM car here. There's nothing different about it, you know. Like me, I have a Chevy setup in a Ford car with a Ford rear end, you know. So and Cadillac, that's GM too as well, right?
Right.
So you're running a full GM setup back
Full
here.
GM, yes sir. And that was my first Cadillac to build.
Learning experience, huh?
Very much. They're a lot different. We've had a lot of old irons we've built, and that one's different than any old iron I've ever been around. They're
Would you run another one?
I would.
You say you were laying some shots on with your front end, and it's still pretty straight.
Yeah, we gotta do a little work on it still. I gotta get my bumper height up. One thing's kind of hard with them Cadillacs, especially when you have to run stock spindles.
Yeah.
Is getting your bumper height. That's one thing we're gonna work on this year. But
Do you have any ideas on it?
a few.
I'm not gonna make you go into any details. I just
A few, yeah, we got a few what we're gonna try. But it's a great car. I don't think I would run another one in our class we're running here, in our CDDA class.
Yeah.
I want to save my next one for a big show. My next show, I'm hoping to run Carnage, Capital City Carnage up there. If I can
That's
get in.
next May, right?
Right. If I can get in, the draw is always pretty hard trying to get in there.
Yeah.
And if I can get in there, I actually have a '74 Fleetwood Cadillac that I'll build for that show.
That'll be pretty nasty.
Yeah, and they're good Cadillacs. I don't know much the difference in them. Like I said, I haven't built too many Cadillacs, but I do know it's got a B-pillar. It kind of makes it desirable, and of course it's a Cadillac.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, on a limited weld show like that, you're better with an old iron. It's already a harder car to begin with.
I got you.
Because you can't do any pre-plating and stuff like that. Now in the mod shows like we run, where we're allowed to do pre-plating and stuff like that, I think it's more towards the new style. And that's what I'll be building next. That's what we built my brother the last couple of years, and that's what I'll run next too.
Like a new style Vic?
Yep, Vic or Lincoln or something. Yeah, new style Ford. And I think it's just better for the rules we have here.
And it's weird. We're all doing the same thing. We all go out into an arena and hit each other. But it's weird how much rules can change from area to area. You know what I mean?
Right. And driving styles. I mean, and there's always a big debate, old iron versus new iron or something like that. I think they're both great. I think they both have a certain spot to be great. Like I said, I think these are better for the bigger shows where you're not allowed any pre-plating or anything, and then it's hard to beat a new style though in a show where you can mod up and plate up and move around. I mean, I guess it goes back to driving style, the way everybody likes to drive and what they like to do. But
something I've kind of figured out about those bigger shows is it's almost easier just to try to get onto a team that has recently lost a member, or one of their teammates isn't wanting to run. You know, kind of like Tiny did when Derek didn't want to run with the Outsiders because he had something else going on, is the story I heard. So, and then Tiny got in with the Outsiders. You know, they weren't like Ronnie Akeridge and Brent Stamps who were having to sit there and wait for the drawing to happen to get into the show.
Right. And since they did so good last year, actually, the Outsiders, they made it to the feature and they placed 4th. They're guaranteed their spot for next year.
Okay.
So they still of course got to buy in and do everything, but they actually get their spot before everybody else. You know, if that team's coming back, they get to.
That's the same way the mod bracket runs too, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% how they do the nationals and
it's like qualifying
nationals. But if you're I know if you're last, like if you're the first one out in the national bracket, then you drop back down to qualifying.
And then if you're the first in the qualifying, you go up to nationals.
But I think other than that, all those guys get to hold their spots in nationals. I think it's only the bottom guy, he's bumped down and the qualifying comes up.
I'm excited for Blizzard Bash, man. I'm not running, but I mean, like you said, you are looking at trying to get to Capital and maybe even Blizzard Bash in the future. Tiny will be up there. You know, my buddies from Iowa, the Crazy Iowans, will be there.
Yep.
So I think it'll just be a fun time. And Gerardo's too. He found a team to run on. So.
Awesome. That'll be fun to go watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Gerardo, he's a stand-up guy. I've derbied with him a couple times around here. Didn't know him very well, and then met him at a derby we showed up to, and we knew the people in there, but we really didn't know the people we were running with. And he said, "Hey, you know, y'all want to run together?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." You know, and he's a man of his word. He stuck to it. We run together, and I mean, till the end. So I've had a lot of respect for that guy since then. Like I said, he didn't know me. I didn't know him, but
he's a cool dude for sure. When I actually had him on the podcast, my truck died on the way out of, because he lived there in Stinnett, Texas, which is
grab a couple tools.
Okay.
Yeah, he don't live too far away.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour drive, but my truck broke down and he towed me back to Stinnett and then gave me a ride all the way back to Perryton.
Yeah. That's the kind of guy he is.
Might have to go through and cut all this out so people aren't like, oh, they're yelling across the shop to each other.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I had everything. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
And then my phone starts ringing.
You can answer it if you need to.
No, that's good.
Alright.
I don't have a spanner wrench for working on these. Like I was telling Dallas, kind of when we were setting all this up, from pressing bearings in to doing different things. I cut my old races and kind of use those as a guide to press stuff on and off. And I don't have all the specific tools to do this, just because it's kind of a hobby deal.
Work
But
with
if I
what
was
you got.
right, if I was doing this for a living, I'd have the setup
Yeah.
to do it all. But we make it work with what we got.
So what are you doing here?
This is how you're gonna set your depth, how far you're into your pinion.
Okay.
And your backlash. You gotta have some backlash. So you
Yeah.
can hear it just a little bit in there. If we were to slide this all the way over and get it where there's zero backlash against that pinion, you're not gonna allow any oil to get in there either.
Oh, and then that's when heat starts to.
You're gonna have a lot of heating issues. You're not gonna be able to get your oil in there. We have a dial indicator here. We'll set it. The gears will come stamped with what they recommend the backlash.
Like that.
Right here, see it says 0.008.
Okay.
And so every gear set's different. You never want to mix and match gears. They're made as a set. And that's why they'll come with a recommendation of what to put. And that's just so you'll have enough room in there to, like I said, keep everything oiled and cooled and less failure. Now on the opposite end, if you set it this too far out, I mean, you're gonna have a lot of slack in there.
It's gonna take a while to.
You're gonna be running on the edge of your gear out here. You're gonna chip a tooth pretty easy. So
It's got to be dang near perfect.
yeah, you want it pretty good. And again, like I said, we're not building this to go down the highway.
Building it to grip and rip.
Yeah, so some people would say you're going a little overboard for a derby, but it'll be right. You know what I mean? You could count on it for years of dependability. So that's why we do it like that. Take the time, do it right, do it once.
That's what I'm talking about. Years of accountability.
So with this, this is your locking tab. It's always going to lock that. So your adjustments are made.
And they don't move.
Right. So when you're adjusting this, you're going to move it one tooth at a time, basically.
Okay.
So what you do here, you got to do the opposite there
Okay.
to keep from
keep it
sliding.
even.
Yep.
Alrighty.
So we're gonna see where we're at because we haven't tightened this at all. See, that's pretty tight. Back off just to that bolt there. There's that hole there.
Now we'll do the same over here.
Make sure. If you get too much load on there, of course, it's not going to spin. And then again, you're going to create heat.
Friction.
Yep. So right there is where we want it.
Now for the people that listen in on Spotify and Amazon Music and stuff, I know there's a lot of you guys up in Washington, Westlake or Lake Stevens, Washington and stuff. Feel free to get on and watch this on YouTube as well, or just look up Derby Dallas 12X, and every single podcast episode I've had will be on there. And if you're just tired of listening to us talk about this and you actually want to see what we're doing, feel free to get on there and look too. Just didn't want them to be like, well, this is stupid listening to this thing.
Can't see what we're doing. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to paint these gears and we're going to see exactly where it's riding. We're just going to double check and make sure it's wherever we want it. We want this pattern right in the center of this gear. We don't want it on the toe or the heel. You want it right in the middle.
All right.
And how you would change that normally is with shims here.
But we don't got no
We don't have no
shims.
shims. So we're going to make sure it's right. And then if it's not at a later date, we'll
Put some
get
shims
some
in there.
shims and make it right. But
10-4.
yeah,
Well, I'll
we'll just
hold
hold
this.
that
so
there.
you
We'll paint
can- Didn't hold it very good.
our anti-seize here because again the kit didn't come with our gear paint, but this works just as good. Something you can paint
Speedway's dropping the ball.
a little something on there and we can see where that thing's tracking. And you don't have to paint the whole thing, just a pattern long enough where you can see where it's at.
You're like the Bob Ross of building 9 inches.
I don't know about that.
You don't got to paint the whole thing. Just a little bit here and there.
Just a little dab. And I'm sure by the end of this we'll both be painted because I'm using anti-seize, and you know how that goes.
You don't even have to actually use it, you just gotta open it.
Okay, now go ahead and spin that. Run the gears all the way around. I'm just holding a little tension on it with my hands here. Okay, now spin it the other way. We'll track both sides of that gear. Now spin it back the other way. Okay, now spin it all the way back around.
To where we painted?
Yep, to where we painted, and we'll see what our track looks like. Keep going.
I didn't realize how far you had painted down.
Okay, you're good right there. See, and we can see now our pattern. See, it's more on the heel here.
Yeah.
We would like to bring it out where it's more in the middle. So in doing that, this is always confusing, so don't grill me whenever I'm thinking about this. To bring our pattern out, we need more shims here.
Oh dang.
Because that's gonna pull this out a little bit, and it's gonna get it further out on the, I don't know if they can see that on the camera, but we're running right here on the heel, and we want our pattern to be right in the middle here.
Alrighty.
So we'll get some more shims and we'll finish that up. But that's just the basis of it. That's kind of how you're looking at it to make sure that's where you want. Like I said, you can slap these things together, 90% of guys do, and it'd run just fine. You're not gonna worry about it, but that's not the right way. That's not if you're gonna do it for a race car or for...
That is not the Michael McElroy way.
That's right. Or especially something that you're gonna run over the road, you know?
Yeah.
And now how we're gonna check our backlash is we'll get our dial indicator here. Find a way to mount this on there. These are always fun.
This is what my brother said was the hardest part of this, was checking the backlash and stuff.
If you have the right stuff, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But it can be tricky because everything you do, like I said, you do it to one side, it changes everything. So you got to make sure
It's all the same.
And we'll zero this out. We got it touching our tooth there. And we'll zero that. Still zero. Now holding this steady, we'll move this. You can see how much. See, we don't have hardly.
Oh, so.
Come look, if you can come, I can show the camera maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Moving this gear.
So just a little bit you're moving it there. It's.
Yeah, and remember we want a 0.008. And so right now we're like 0.02.
Okay.
See, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it away from this gear, one turn.
Alrighty.
And let's see where that puts us.
And you do that with these on the ends here,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
You were
sir.
doing with screwdrivers earlier?
So we're gonna back this off one turn,
Okay.
right there. I'm gonna tighten this one turn. You can already hear the difference.
Yeah, a little bit of a difference there.
A little more slack in there. So now we'll put our,
So why do you want it at 0.008? What's the...
that was factory, that was your gear.
Oh, that's
your
right,
Gear
that's
set.
right.
That's what they recommend. And
That's
that's
what they had stamped on there.
right. And like I said, every set's different. So 0.008 is not a standard.
Yeah.
That you just can't take that and apply it to every gear. Everyone's going to be different. Every set's going to be different. So make sure and look on the set what it actually recommends. And like I said, that's just to make sure you're getting lubrication in between the gears.
Yeah.
Zero that back out.
Oh,
Or 5 right there.
close. So I'd say one more, since
One?
we were at 2.
Yeah, we'll move it one more. See where we're at. And of course that sounds like a lot because we don't have any lubrication in there. You don't have that
Yeah.
thick gear oil in there.
80-90 weight.
You betcha. So I'm gonna take this one. Well, this one's still kind of loose, so we're gonna just tighten this one more and see where we're at.
So Michael, what's been your favorite car that you've ever built?
I want to say 2. This Cadillac for sure, because it's the most challenging, and I love a challenge. That's why I think we're all into this. We like to build bad stuff. We like to do stuff that challenges us
Yeah.
and build bigger and badder. And I think this is one of my favorites because it was very challenging. It was my first time building one, and it's completely different from building any. I mean, I've never even built old 70s Ford. And I know they got the rear steer, you know, and some of that, but that's just some of the things you got to deal with on here. So it was a challenge building it. And me and my friends, you know, that build together, we can usually bounce ideas off everybody and hey, I've done this, try that. Nobody around here that I've talked to has really built one of these, so it was all new for all of us, you know what I mean?
Big learning curve for everybody.
Right, and I had a lot of help through the way. I can't say we did it all our own. You know, Derek Court, he's a good guy. He's given me lots of advice, and there's been some others that have kind of, hey, try this, do that, you know, this is gonna help you, and so I've had a lot of that too. But it's been fun, and also building my brother's car, and we built in that Crown Vic. That was the first new style I've ever built.
Oh, really?
Like I said, we've always just built old iron. And so that new style was a lot of fun. The first year was a big learning curve on that. We did that thing, it went pretty goofy, and of course my brother, he drives real hard, so that didn't help. That hey, that's the way you got to do it. I love his driving style, you know, and so
fun to watch for sure.
For sure, he holds her down. So we restubbed that car, and
which I was here yesterday helping y'all take the stub out.
Yeah, when we cut that stub out, yep. And see, that's kind of a testament to, we restubbed it, he run it again, just as hard, put her to the finals, and car's trashed, everything's trashed, except the stub. It held up good, you know, just kind of the things we took from the first build and where the thing bent.
And you could apply that to the next one.
Apply it to the next one. And then of course a lot of help from guys around here. A lot of guys build these Vics around here, and so they got a little heads up on us. But
Vics are just easy to find, man.
they are easy to find, and if built right, they're a hard car. And fun to drive. I can't wait to drive one. I've never drove a Vic.
Oh, really?
And so after this one's done, like I said, I'll be driving a new style too, and see if I like it, how I like it. I'm looking forward to building and driving one. I think we're gonna be good right here where we're at. Let's zero that out so we can see. That's 8 on the money.
Yes, sir, it is.
I don't get any better. So we got our backlash set. And like I said, now that that's set, we'll go ahead and lock everything down. We'll put our keepers in, and it's normally we would be done.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to come back at a later date and do something about that pinion depth. It would run, but I don't like it to run there. I want it to get right for you, so.
Well, I'll just leave this here for you then.
Yeah, we'll leave it here. Let's tighten this down, and just so we got everything in place. But when you change something,
You gotta change everything.
So we'll have to come back and check our backlash, check it all over again. But just so we could get this on film and kind of hopefully help somebody out that's never been around one or done one, you know. I mean, this is the way to do it. And if we would have got it all on film earlier, you don't have to have the right tools. It just helps to have the dial indicator. It helps to have the torque wrench. But
Makes it easier.
Right, but you can feel a lot of that stuff. Like I said, for derby purposes, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You can feel that there's no slack in there, or it's not too tight, it's not binding. And that's another thing, like I said earlier, putting bigger gears in one. This section right here has been ground down.
Oh yeah,
And
I see that now.
If it hadn't have been, this is things I've run into, is your taller gear is gonna hit there and it's gonna lock down. So that's one thing, once you get it built, you always wanna make a full rotation of this gear.
Make sure
There's no binding, make sure there's no rough spots, tight spots, anything. If so, pull it back apart, check everything, make sure. But this feels really good. Like I said, it's just got that pattern. We need to get it out on the center a little more, and this thing is gonna be a solid rear end. So it's gonna last you a while. You know, you got new bearings, good bearings in it, good seals, and everything's set up right. Your clearances are right. You're just not gonna thrash it out there.
Yeah.
One thing I like to say, and people do their own thing, whatever they want. The way we build these cars so hard, no suspension, things like that. Whatever urges you have to get it out on the pavement and just thrash on it,
Don't do that.
Don't do that, because There's just no give in anything, and
Yeah.
your drivetrain takes a beating. Whether it be your U joints or your gears or stuff, it just takes a beating.
I actually learned why. Okay, so when I started derbying, I just got told, weld your suspension solid. You know, nobody ever really explained it to me why. And I finally figured out a couple days ago, it's because if you're going at 30 miles an hour and you whack into something and your suspension gives, your whole car is going to give a little bit, and it's going to suck down to the ground and everything. Whereas if your suspension's welded solid, when you hit somebody, it's staying solid. It's not giving anywhere.
That's exactly right. Your car's not absorbing the energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the key behind that, for sure.
Which I never knew that until actually Ace and I explained it to me yesterday. Which, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you idiot!" But
no, dude. There's things that I learn every day. There's a lot of things, and if you ever got the mentality that you know it all and you're good to go, then I mean,
if you reevaluate,
right? If you quit learning, if you don't learn something every day, then what are you doing? You know?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the way I like to look at it. I like to go into things with an open mind. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. Like, I'm sure a lot of viewers have done this a lot different. You know, they're gonna be like, "Well, why do you do it that way? We do it this way." And which is fine. This is just the way I was taught, and it's the way I do it. And
it obviously works.
Yeah, obviously works. I've set up many rear ends, many dirt tractor rear ends, and those ones, you know, you're going high speed down the track. So
yeah,
yet to had a failure. We did set up one last year for Marcus and I actually, and that boy, he just drives hard. But he actually split the caps off of it, and I don't know if it was a combination of hitting something under power or what happened, but I'd never seen one just bust the way his did.
That's insane.
It was pretty bad. But
going back to learning things and always trying to stay learning, what has been your least favorite car that you've ever built, and how would you go back and change some of the stuff that you might have learned from building it?
I don't know if I have a least favorite car. I mean, I could say this was my least favorite car because there's so much into it, you know what I mean? Just different. But every car I'm building, we're learning something every time. Whether it be we're chasing the bend, you know what I mean? We played it here because we knew it was going to bend here, well, it bend there. And so you're always just trying to do what you can to keep, you know, it from bending in a critical spot. Cars are going to bend.
Yeah.
But if you want it to bend in the right areas.
Bending at the dog legs is a no-go.
You just want it to bend. You want to control where it's going to bend, and that's a huge learning deal. And that just comes with experience and being around people that have built them and drove them and being in there building and driving them, and then talking to people like you're doing, you know, with this deal. It's awesome, you know, going around there up to the bigger shows, and I've not met one person up there that has just get away from here, don't you know?
Yeah.
Because we're down here in Texas and it's not big here.
Well, like I said, around here there are some of those guys that are like, I don't want to tell you what's going on, get out of my shop, blah, blah, you know what I mean?
That's just local dramas. And that's, I'm sure, those guys that go to those big shows, I'm sure they have that at their hometown too, you know? Everybody's got their hometown drama. But up there in that environment, I mean, they'll talk to you, you know, if you see something, they're not just going to walk around their car and point it out. Yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this. But if you actually see something, you're like, man, that's pretty cool. I wonder why he did that. You know?
They're not going to tell you why they did it, but they're also not going to tell you to stop looking at their car.
Well, a lot of them will. They'll tell you if you bring it up. If you be like, hey,
well, that's what I'm saying.
I really like that idea. You know what? And they'll tell you, keep it from doing this or doing that. But they're not just going to walk around and point their own stuff out.
Exactly.
But they're not going to run you off either. You know, they're like we are. We like to show off our builds. We like to show off, you know.
Yeah.
You're on the center stage, you know. You like people looking at your car and going, man.
That's why we do that driver's parade at the beginning of the derby.
Yeah.
You get out there and you get into the mud a little bit and let the crowd see your car before you destroy it, you know.
Right. And so I mean that's kind of what it is to me when I have people come and look at my car, look at things I've done. You know, I take pride in that when people are, you know, man, look at that, look what he did there, you know. And so I'm not going to tell you everything I do, but if you have questions, I'll help you out and tell you why I've done it. But that's the same way I think a lot of people are, you know. I mean, it goes back to that helping build the sport.
What, you actually got in trouble with this car at the Perryton Derby, didn't you? an inspection?
Yeah.
You don't have to go into details.
Trying to look into the gray, everybody does,
Yeah.
you know, and one's interpretation of one thing is different than mine, and we got it sorted out with a little torch work. We had to do some cutting, but
That's tough, man. It's when you think you got a bad ride and you pull up and the inspector's like, oh, what's this right here?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how they got there, man. Those guys in the caddy factory, when they built that thing, must have been welding their asses off that day.
Right, yep, they did good on that one. But I like that though, because it's fair with everybody, you know.
Yeah.
If anybody else come in with what I had done, and I know another driver did, it was cut too. You know, the people, it's the same playing field.
Yeah.
And you can't get that with a lot of promoters. It's just a lot of people have friends, buddies, and their integrity isn't all that. With Mark Lee, what I've learned, his experiences running here the last 3 or 4 years. What's good for this guy is good for that guy.
Yeah, and
he don't know anybody. He don't know the clicks. And so none of that cares. He's non-biased to everybody, and that goes a long ways.
He's just there to put on a good show.
That's right. That's right. And his rules are fun to build too. They're not too extreme. There's a stopping point. You know, I mean, with some rules, you can build your car till you're done building, sit back, have a cold one, look over there. Oh, I can keep welding, or I can keep doing this. You know, do more. With his, there's pretty much it's black and white, and when you push the gray like I did, he's gonna find it. He knows what he's doing. He's built a couple.
Yeah. Another thing I like about Markley is, like, I drove through Underbuilt, and Dallas, come here, set me down. He was like, you could have done this, you could have done this, and this would have made this Lincoln a whole heck of a lot more stout if you would have done this or this way instead of like you did it. You know, and it's just cool having a promoter that's willing to sit down and kind of talk to you with how you could have made your car better too.
Yep. And he'll do that, like I said, for anybody. He did that for my brother too. He come through inspection last year, and like I said, we restubbed this big, and it's our first one to build, let alone restub another one, and so we're going through again. And he's asking, you know, why didn't you do this? You know, you probably should have done that. And
well, I didn't think about it, Chad.
Yeah. So I mean, it's things like that you learn, and he's open to it, and yeah, he's a great promoter. I can't say enough of what he's done for this area. I think he's really brought it back, because our car count was getting down, and
I agree.
And everything, but
and then now here we are about to be on TV, you know?
Yeah.
Coming up this August, we'll be on Track Shot Live.
Track Shot Live, yeah. Those guys, man, they do a great job.
Yeah, I've only ever
Tips,
gotten
all
to see
those
a handful of their shows and stuff. I don't ever know where to find it. All I ever see is the ads and stuff they put out before they go to TV or whatever on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll put their feed on their Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Yep. It'll be a live feed out there.
But there's a way to get it on TV too, ain't there?
Yeah, if you go to, I think they have a website, you know, the link, it's on there too. Just put the link in on your smart TV or whatever, and yeah, you can pop it up there.
There you go. So if you don't want to come to the Derby, you can find it on Track Shot Live.
That's right. It'll be a good one this year. I think we're gonna have a pretty big car count this year, hopefully a record count. And
that'll be cool.
Maybe we're working on a few things here and there to get it a little more surprising. I've been in the talks with Tiny, you know, he kind of heads up this area's deal with the prize money and stuff like that. You know, he does a lot behind the scenes to get all that put together with the chamber, and so we got a couple ideas how to keep it. We don't want this show to get too big as where it's another, and I don't want to say Kansas show, but where it's hour-long feature, 2-hour-long feature.
Which we've had that a couple times the last few years.
And when we're afraid with bigger car counts, that we don't want our show going that way. This town really does a lot to support this Derby.
It does.
And that's who we're putting the show on for. And if you have a slow-paced feature,
nobody's going to want to come watch it.
You're going to lose a lot of it. And that's why this town has had a Derby so long, because we have a great community that supports it. I mean, they bring a lot of their family, and they just support the Derby and the drivers out there, so we want to keep that going. Even though the show's getting bigger, we don't want it to be too big where it's going to be drawn out and just lose our fan base. So we're going to try to keep it high paced and a few things to come. So
you know, when they're turning people away at the gate, you know, because they're selling out, they're like, we can't have any more people because we're so full with the fans and stuff. You know, that's insane.
Yeah, and it's awesome the way the town does support this this hobby of ours. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we got to give it back to them. You know.
Wish the rodeo board would get on board with us, but
yeah, they do big things too. But yeah, they're our fan base. I mean, we got to keep it exciting for them. So we got to always keep evolving with the times, and I'm excited about this year. I think Track Shot Live is going to be a big deal for here. I think it's going to really up our car count. And
be a 2-day show.
yeah, a lot goes into making 2-day shows. Yeah,
that's true.
Maybe one day we'll get there, and that would be great for the town too. You know, I mean, people are going to stay in motels. People are going to eat at restaurants. It just brings a lot into the town. But maybe one day we'll get there. But you know, that means
a lot of stuff's got to change for it too.
That's right. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that's got to happen for stuff like that.
Well, man, coming up on the end of this here, I like to give the drivers a chance to tell everybody where they're going to be driving, or where maybe you could see you drive somewhere. You know, because somebody sees this black and blue Cadillac and they're like, "Hey, that's Michael McElroy. I'd like to go see him drive somewhere else, man." So, where are you going to be driving? What shows might you go be in to watch, or?
We're going to run up in Oakley in July. That'll be our first show of the year. Me and Tiny are going to run up together.
Team show up there.
Yes, sir.
There's a few people going to run that show.
We are. I'm pretty happy. We're going to have a lot of Texas representing up there, so that's going to be fun.
Get back at the Kansas guys for always winning our shows.
Yeah, they come down here and beat us up, take our money. We're going to go up there.
Time for payback.
It'll be a good show, though. We went up there last year. Great show. Clayton Bozier. Nope. Grill me if I got that wrong, but I believe is the promoter's name up there, Clayton. Great guy.
Yeah.
We went up there, so just the hospitality was amazing. He was so happy to have us there. Great. Definitely mark that one to go back. You know,
that's
just
awesome.
Because of that, just the way they are welcoming and just everything. It was a good time, good show. Of course, it's Mark Lee ran, so good show. We're gonna run that one. Then of course we're gonna come run the hometown show. Hopefully we got enough car to do some good here.
Yeah.
And then after that, not really too much. Maybe if we got a little car left to put together, we'll put something together for Salina for Crashtober, depending.
Keep your calendar open, because late September, early October, you could only have to drive 2 hours for a show.
Oh man, that'd be great. I would. We would make that happen. I like running local shows, and that's the Salina show. It's a big cleanup show. It's fun to go run up there because it's kind of the end of the year. No heats, just
one and done.
Take your car up there and thrash it. It's a hard hitting, fast paced derby because everybody's just trying to junk their stuff so they can start on next year's build. And so that's a fun one. Other than that, that's really all I got planned to run. I got wife and kids at the house, and they're my world. That's.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do this without them. That's for
right.
Sure, man.
That's
a
right.
Good family in your corner is the best thing to have.
Yep, and it's they're at the age where we got a lot of t-ball, softball going on, and we like to take them camping. It's a balancing act, trying to
shop time and family time.
That's right. And if it comes down to it, family time's always more important.
Definitely.
So that's where, if it comes down to it, that's where you got to be. So we don't get to make as many shows as a lot of people, but we still have fun doing it. And
you ever get any? They ever want to come down and help you?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Whenever I leave the house, Dad, can we go to the shop? And a lot of times I do let them, but if there's welding and stuff going on, which is a lot of times that's going on.
You don't want them just staring at it.
Yeah, you don't want them here watching that. But yeah, they love to come down and beat around on stuff. And
heck yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, they enjoy that. So.
Well, now you'll be able to be like, hey, check it out, I'm on YouTube.
Right. But hopefully next year, maybe we'll start off with the Carnage build. That's the hopes, but we'll see if we can get into it or not.
Well, I hope so, man. I appreciate you being on the show, taking time out of your Sunday to do this.
No, thanks. I'm glad we finally got it hooked up to do it. We've been planning on this
since I started. You were going to be the first episode.
Right. It just hadn't worked out. I've always been a big supporter of it, and I love the idea of what you're doing. And
well, I appreciate it.
And I think this is good for our sport. It's just we haven't been able to link up, and I'm glad we finally did.
Same here. I was happy when you finally were like, hey, let's do it tomorrow. I was like, all right, I'll be there. So Peyton, you can shut up, man. It's only been 2 weeks. Chill out. But yeah, man, I appreciate it, and we'll have to get you back on here sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, we got some big things coming up, whether it be engine building or car building, and we'll have to come back together.
And after next weekend, you know, people will see you on here a little bit more, especially if you'll be at Oakley, because I'll be there too, you know, getting some footage. So
Yeah, can't wait.
with some other people doing podcasts, you know, gotta keep my stuff on the down low on what I'm doing now. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Driver's Seat Podcast with Michael McElroy. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcasts, or look up on YouTube, Derby Dallas 12X, and you can watch us put a 9-inch together. Thank y'all.
See ya.